So I think the Memphis Grizzlies have become forgotten in the Western Conference playoff discussion for this upcoming season. But I believe that with a healthy Mike Conley and a healthy Marc Gasol, these guys could be right in the thick of somewhere between like number 6 and number 9 or 10, where even if they don't make it, they miss it by maybe 1 or 2 games, but I could also see them overtaking some teams that could have some complications this season, right? You look at a team like the T-Wolves, where there's a whole bunch of rumors with those guys not liking each other. There's the Nuggets, who still a pretty young team. Defensively, we don't know how good they're going to be. Whereas with Memphis, we know that if Conley and Gasol are good to go, that these guys are going to win some games. I mean, even 2 years ago, when both of them played about 60-something games, they won 43 games. So as long as those two can maintain themselves, then I think these guys are going to have a chance. But of course, there is more to this team than simply Mike Conley and Marc Gasol. I think you have to look at Dillon Brooks, who is one of the more underrated rookies. Seems like a guy who can make some shots. His three-point percentage, it was okay. I mean, 36% on 3 attempts a game is decent. But when you go to his college numbers, I think there's more reason to believe that he can be a legit shot maker. He shot about 80% from the free throw line and then 40% from 3 his last year at Oregon. But he seems like a dude who can also create his own shot a bit. I mean, he put up 11 points a game on some pretty decent efficiency. I mean, Dillon Brooks, at least for a rookie, I should say, was pretty damn good. And that was with, I mean, Conley missing like the majority of the season. So if he's able to get some easier baskets from that, and also if he doesn't have a disgruntled Marc Gasol, then that could be huge for them. I think we also have to speak on Kyle Anderson. The interesting thing with Anderson is how good is he defensively, because he was a part of the Spurs system, which was excellent on defense, even without Kawhi Leonard. And I want to know, is that more because Popovich was just really good and he just allowed Anderson to just play within a team system, or is Kyle Anderson a legit defensive player? I will admit, I didn't watch the Spurs enough last season to confidently give an answer to that, but based on what other people have said in the times that I have seen Anderson, he seems like a guy who can hang around defensively pretty okay. Doesn't seem like a liability out there. And he's just kind of a smart enough offensive player where he can dribble the ball himself, he'll make the right pass, he may be slow as hell, but he can also attack a closeout effectively. Kevin Durant has had problems defending him because slow-mo just psychs him out. Kyle Anderson's a very interesting player who I think could be asked to do more on this Memphis team than he was on the Spurs, and I think there's some real potential with him. JaMychal Green remains one of the more underrated NBA players, the power forward spot. I mean, sure, he's not like the ideal two-way power forward, but he's definitely within the mold of that kind of player where he can defend a few positions. He's a decent athlete, and his jump shot, while it hasn't really taken off, it has shown some signs that, you give him another season and hopefully he's been working at it and everything. Maybe he could at least be a mid-range shooter, which, I mean, given that Marc Gasol acts as the floor spacer in the front court for these guys, JaMychal Green just having a bit of a pulse from mid-range or maybe cutting to the basket or one dribble to the rim off of like a drive and kick, that can be enough when Marc Gasol's chilling at the top of the key sometimes, right? And then, of course, there is Jaren Jackson Jr., where I don't think he'll start. I think JaMychal Green will be better than him his rookie season, and he definitely should not play over Marc Gasol, of course. But we do expect him to get quite a few minutes for these guys. And if he is what a lot of people believe that he will be, then I guess you could expect at least some good defense and just playing within the team system offensively. And then from there, this team is, Garrett Temple, Omri Caspi, Marshawn Brooks, Andrew Harrison. I think all four of those guys are kind of intriguing. I mean, Andrew Harrison has had to learn how to play point guard, and his jump shot isn't there, but his size, and he does show some decent signs if you watch the Grizzlies day in and day out, which I do not, but I've heard some good things. Marshawn, maybe he can put some points up. Garrett Temple's an okay two-way player. Caspi can make some shots as long as he's not playing on the Warriors, we hope. I just think this team is maybe a little better than everybody is believing that they are. Unless everybody agrees with me that they're kind of intriguing, I don't know. So what would be the expectation for this team, assuming everyone's healthy? I think offensively, they would probably not be more than maybe like a mid-tier offensive team, and then defensively, if they were really going to be something, they would have to creep to probably around number 10 or so. I mean, Conley and Gasol and Green, and then hopefully Jaren Jackson being okay. I think those four can make you a pretty damn good defensive team. And then they would just have to kind of scrape on by on offense. You stagger Conley and Gasol, or maybe you play them together to maximize when they are both out there. I don't know what the right move would be, but I do think there's enough talent on this team. Now, to relate it to the rest of the Western Conference, I mean, you got to assume the Lakers are in there now. And I've already talked about my fears with the T-Wolves, but, you know, a big thing is always going to be injuries, right? Like maybe Gobert misses X amount of games again, or maybe Anthony Davis misses 20 games because he can't handle the physicality at center, or Millsap goes down again with the Nuggets. Like, there's always variables. Now, the Grizzlies are also a big one because getting through a whole season with Conley and Gasol healthy has been kind of a challenge for them lately, but I'm just saying, if some things go their way, maybe there's a buyout mid-season or they make a trade or something, I think we could see Memphis just kind of squeak into the postseason and everybody goes, wait, what? That wasn't supposed to happen. I think this team is a little more equipped to win right now than, let's say, the Mavericks. I mean, I know the DeAndre signing is good and Rick Carlisle is awesome, but when you got a rookie point guard or whatever Doncic is, and then a second-year guy in Dennis Smith, who I like a lot and I think will end up being really good, but in terms of winning right now, his rookie season was not anywhere close to him being like a positive contributor to winning basketball. So that's still a bit of an uphill climb with that team. I think a similar thing can be said with Phoenix. But this Grizzlies team is loaded with enough veterans to where I think they can make some noise. And I think that's the video.